Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to a bit of a bonus show on the channel this week. I really wasn't planning on doing a video, another Newcastle transfer video, another Newcastle video at all, really, before the Euros, before my daily debrief starts on Friday. But I had a thought and I had an idea, and I thought it was the sort of perfect content for the video. So please continue to like, share, and subscribe. Really appreciate those likes on those videos, really helping, as I say, with the algorithm. Keep watching all the way through. Really, all this sort of stuff really helps with the channel, growing it up to 312 subscribers now. So thank you very much for all your support. I really appreciate it. Obviously, there is a bit of an update from Newcastle today. Bournemouth defender Lloyd Kelly spotted in London for the first part of his Newcastle medical. Bit of a breakthrough that, obviously, after the tossing news, Newcastle fans got a little bit twitchier, you could say, given the nature of what happened there. And obviously, that's very understandable considering that they were sort of both sort of lumped in together, both free transfers that Newcastle seemed to be ahead with. But Lloyd Kelly was always there, further ahead in development in terms of that deal. They've been talking to him since February. It was never really in doubt. It's all basically done. It'll be announced in the next couple of weeks before he officially joins on July the 1st. So great first sign for Newcastle. Good that it's a defensive reinforcement. Another left back option as well as centre back. Really, really good player. Obviously 25, injury issues, but if Newcastle can get what they can out of this deal, it'll be a fantastic one. I think that's a really good move for the club. But on to today's main topic, and really I wanted to analyse Newcastle's options for a right wing signing this summer, but also talk about a player that I think Newcastle should really be moving for. He hasn't really been linked. There's definitely something in the air, possibility around him that I think Newcastle should be aware of. I do think that this is the ideal right winger, and I'll get into who that is in a minute. Obviously, you won't be aware of this even now. I'll catch you in suspense even with the thumbnail and the headline. A little bit clickbaity, I do apologise for that, but like the suspense. Who are the main links? Obviously, we've touched up on this on the Monday show before. Pedro Neto's been linked heavily. Morgan Gibbs-white from Nottingham Forest is a player Newcastle have liked for a long time and watched for a long time. Nico Williams at Athletic Club in Spain this week, according to Sport in Catalonia, has ruled out a move to the Premier League, which would be a bit of a blow because he's a really good player linked in the past. Federico Chiesa is another one who's been linked before. But I think Williams is somebody Newcastle have watched. Gibbs White is someone Newcastle have watched. Pedro Neto, as I mentioned as well, somebody Newcastle have watched too. So there's a few names in the pool. Let me know in the comments below who you want to see. But the name I'm going to throw into the mix is Donyell Malen from Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, Newcastle fans very, very aware of who he is. Obviously, played at St James's Park and caused Newcastle quite a few problems in that second home Champions League game in the group stages. Personality-wise, he's not too many issues off the pitch, but on the pitch, a bit of a worky ticket, if you like. That's the polite way you would call it, which is very much what Newcastle had in the 2022-23 season when they reached the Champions League. Joe Linton, Bruno being what he is, Trippier, Botman, all these sort of wind-up merchants. Newcastle became their thing. Lacked a bit last year. Marlon would bring that as well. But in terms of style, very pacey, running behind, very direct, exactly what Newcastle need. High energy, plays in the Dortmund team that are used to having the ball, are used to pressing high in most of their games. It's a real good opportunity here to get a player who is the right profile. 25 years old, 2 years left on his contract, and crucially, there's been a lot of talk in Germany over the last few months that his time at the Signal Iduna Park is up, and Dortmund are looking to cash in on somebody to reinvest in their squad. I know they got into the Champions League final, but finishing fifth is a poor season for Edin Terzic's side. So they've got to find a new way of doing things. They want Jadon Sancho to play on that side. That would push Marlon out. Marlon's value, according to transfermarket.com, is about 40 million, 2 years left in his contract, 13 goals from the right of midfield last season, and crucially as well, started his career as a central striker for PSV Eindhoven and scored quite a few goals in the Dutch league. I think in terms of the suitability and in terms of the profile of player, Newcastle are going to have to find somebody who can play on the right and also play down the middle because they don't have the monetary ability to go and splash on a striker as well as a right winger, as much as they might like to, with obviously Callum Wilson's future up in the air, and the centre back as well now, given the tossing situation, which is an update I brought you a couple of weeks ago about that and the knock on effect of that tossing deal of really has changed the sort of outlook on the whole summer. So Not that Malen is a budget option in any way. He's just a cheaper option because of the contract situation. As I say, 13 goals, 25 years old. The only issue I think that here is that he's a right footer. I think that's the only stylistic problem. Other than that, in terms of personality, in terms of style of play, in terms of experience playing in the Champions League, playing for big clubs like Dortmund and PSV, he is one of those players that I just think could suit Newcastle. Come in straight away and make an impact. Play on that right hand side, and yeah, make a massive, massive difference to the way Newcastle play. A massive upgrade on both Miguel Almiron and Jacob Murphy, and that is a deal that I think Newcastle can do. I think Dortmund are willing sellers. I think Newcastle have the money to go and find a player of his quality. They bought him for about 30 million euros, I think 2 or 3 years ago. So if they get 40 million pounds, which is around his value, which is something that Newcastle I think can do if they stretch themselves, certainly with player sales. Then I think Dortmund would be very happy with it. As I say, lots of talk that they're willing to move him on as it is, just to reinvest, just to sort of as a bit of a casualty to try and get Sancho in, perhaps to try and move themselves on a little bit. And Newcastle can capitalise because there's a player there that's got all the experience at the right age, right contract situation. This is the sort of thing that I think Newcastle should be looking at. He's been linked with Manchester United and Liverpool in the past few months as well. Newcastle should be in the market for Donyell Malen. I think he's a better fit than even Morgan Gibbs-White, who plays more centrally, as we know from last season, and wouldn't stretch the pitch. Obviously, coming inside is kind of the thing that the right wingers do for Newcastle. And as I said, freely admit that perhaps Marlon wouldn't do that so much on the right hand side as a right footer, but he does play on the right for Dortmund. He stretches the pitch as well. So there's a tactical flexibility there. There's a different way you could play with Marlon, but crucially, he can play down the middle, and he is a goal threat. 13 goals in the Bundesliga last season from the right of midfield. This is a player who is somebody you absolutely can trust to score a number of goals, to add to the likes of Isak, to add to Wilson. I think Gordon as well. Newcastle have proven that they've got goals all over the pitch, and I think because of the situation of the strikers, because they're not going to go out and replace Wilson, even if he goes with a number 9 of the same quality, they need to get those goals from whoever the right winger is. And I think that in terms of goal threat, in terms of stylistically, he's very similar to Brian Mbeumo in the way that he runs in behind and can play down the middle, Marlon. But I would put him at cut above. I think the fact that he's played in the Champions League and played for so many big clubs as well, started his career at Arsenal, he knows where the goal is, and he would fit perfectly. As I say, a little bit of the devil in him, as well as you would like to call it. It's just perfect for what Newcastle need. I think that's what they were missing last season. It was what they had 2 years ago. I think Newcastle will definitely benefit if they go and get Malen. So let me know in the comment section below whether you think Donyell Malen, my suggestion of Donyell Malen, is a good one for the right midfield berth at Newcastle next season. And also, yeah, please continue to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back on Friday with the first of my 5-minute Euro debriefs. Thank you very much for joining me again, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.